This video is for the younger folks here, for the people in their 20s, maybe their early 30s, that haven't yet figured everything out. I wish I knew the following things that I'm about to tell you. There is a massive shift happening in your 20s. All your life, you have pretty much been told what to do. First by your parents, then by school, maybe then also by your circle of friends. You always got heavily influenced by the people around you, and you didn't even choose those people around you. And if you don't watch out for yourself, you will continue to stick with that habit. You'll continue to just hear what other people say, and you just follow other people's path. And I think that's the major mistake that you can make in your 20s. Because here's the problem. Everything is pre-scripted up until our early 20s. We know we go into kindergarten, then into primary school, we progress academically, and at some point we graduate. And the issue is, at that point, we lose our sense of direction because we don't have any more external direction. What should we actually focus our life on? What's the right way to approach things? There's a real void. You might remember when you were young, people were asking you, what do you want to become when you're older? Right? Do you become a lawyer or an accountant or a doctor? Adults tend to ask those questions even to the very young ones, right? And then they almost make fun of it, right? I want to become an astronaut. And while this is very cute, it's of course very unrealistic. And so there are the first decisions, right? What should I study? What should be my future job? What kind of company do I want to work for? Or do I even want to focus on those kinds of things? Or do I maybe first want to focus on just trying to travel the world and discover myself and enjoy the early youth, right? We are only young once. And so as there are many different paths in life, there's also a lot of different kinds of advice you can find on the internet. Some people will say you should just enjoy everything, you should just party, you should just travel. Other people will say you should work extra hours because now you still have all the energy. You don't have much experience, you've got all the energy. You should have a main job and an extra job and then maybe a third job as well. Save as much money as you can and then let interest compound over time. While other people might say, now is the time to really enjoy your capital. Every dollar you earn today can be enjoyed the most. Now you're still healthy and now you still have time. Those are all very hard questions. They're almost philosophical questions. There's many different ways to answer those questions, and no answer seems to be right. They all seem to be just different kinds of choices. And so, especially the early 20s can lead to some form of analysis paralysis. If I don't know what to do, I might just do nothing at all. And so what tends to happen is that those fundamental decisions are just taken again by our early upbringing. Maybe by the education we got from our parents, maybe by our circle of friends. All our friends are studying XYZ, or our parents tell us we should study ABC. And this is the input we get, and because we don't have any direction, we don't know how to properly approach those questions, we simply just take their word for it. That's what tends to happen. And that, I believe, is the big mistake that most people do in their 20s, potentially even in their early 30s. Really, I think there's only one right way to approach this question, and that is look at the people that are 10, 20, 30 years ahead of you and try to figure out, do you want to have that kind of life in the future? You might not have a lot of exposure to many 40 or 50-year-olds besides, let's say, your parents or your teachers. But that's the nice thing about the internet, right? You can try to seek out content that is made by people at that age bracket. Then try to figure out, do you want to be like them? What kind of target life do you have? When you get advice from your parents, do you actually want to have that kind of life in 10 or 20 years? Do you think that the people that are like this, right? Let's say you decide to study law. Have you looked at lawyers in their 40s and 50s? And do you want to be like those people? Or do you maybe want to be very different? You have to look at the positives and the negatives. Now, of course, there also needs to be some realism to those expectations, right? Because there's different requirements for different professions. If, let's say, you enjoy working with computers, you enjoy programming, then you don't necessarily have to be the best programmer in the world in order to make a good living from this. But if you want to become a professional athlete, you have to be among the top percent of the field. So there's more work required for different kinds of paths. And sometimes it's hard to beat the competition, right? It's not that easy to become a professional soccer player, for example. And so let's say you're already studying, and maybe there are some presentations by companies that might be supporting the university, that might want to recruit from the university. Have a look at those people, right? Let's say the strategy consultants come to your university. Let's say the McKinseys and Bains and BCGs of this world. And you look at the people that present over there. Do you want to be like those people? Do you want to have their life? Do you want to travel around all the time for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Do you really want to work that many hours? Or do you just want to do this for the money? And if the money is enough of an incentive to go through all of that pain, is there some kind of a point where you might then want to switch to something else? Maybe once you've reached a certain level of net worth, is there maybe then another career that you want to pursue? And if the answer is yes, maybe there's a way to start with this early on without even doing the money accumulation game at the beginning. Let's say you are already working at a company, you finished your studies, and you look at your boss and your boss's boss. Do you want to have their life? If the answer is no, you're probably not going to be motivated to do that thing for the long term. So really, it's about trying to mirror a life and trying to mirror a certain lifestyle, trying to mirror certain life choices according to the people that have already reached a certain level. You also have to ask yourself, would you be okay to only reach half of your goal? So is the pursuit of the goal already enjoyable enough? So let's say you want to become the next Mr. Beast, right? And you want to have a huge YouTube channel. Would you be okay to just have a YouTube channel of, say, 100,000 subscribers? Would that kind of more realistic goal still be satisfactory enough? Would the journey be pleasant enough that not all of the reward just comes from the very high payout you might get if you reach the absolute top? The answer is no. If only this is worthwhile, if you become the best in the field, then maybe that's also a quite risky path that's maybe not necessarily worth taking for most. And so this is, I think, the best way to solve for this major issue in the early 20s, the issue of finding the right direction. It's trying to find out what kind of life do I want to have. Is there somebody out there that I admire? Is there somebody out there where I wish I had a similar kind of life? And if you find that somebody, or maybe multiple people, simply just try to get into the similar kind of direction. Try to learn similar things. Try to be around similar people. It's also useful to not just think about descriptions and job titles and status, etc., but to actually think about what will you be doing day in and day out. What kind of activity do you actually enjoy? What kind of activity could you do repeatedly day after day after day without any hesitation? And where might other people actually not enjoy this at all and you might enjoy it a lot? This is normally a good sign. If there's something where you're nerdy about, if there's something that you enjoy and most people don't, it's maybe something to pursue further, because that's where you might have more interest than the average person. That's also something where you might be able to outperform, where you might be able to do a better job than most others. And so once you've got that target, once you know, I want to become a social media influencer, or I want to become a trader, or I want to become a doctor, or I want to, whatever it is, right? Insert your thing. And I want to do those kinds of activities day in and day out. It's all about just getting towards that step by step. And so it's not necessarily studying it. It's just being around similar people. It's about attending events where those kinds of people are. It's about joining communities, online and offline communities where those kinds of people are. It's about learning the same things that those kinds of people learn. It's about talking the same language. It's about having the same kinds of thoughts that most of those people have. And so sometimes you might have heard this from the older folks, right? The 20s is not about making money necessarily. Don't focus on your compensation. Just focus on your learning, right? It's about the learning opportunity. But what does this really mean? What is learning here? Does learning mean how to do PowerPoint presentations or how to use technical tools? I don't think so. Really, learning is about trying to find the right influence. It's about building the right community. It's about being with the people that are as close to your dream outcome as possible. You want to get the same kind of mental stimuli that those kind of people got as well. You want to read the same books. You want to consume the same kind of content. The more you are with the people that lead a life that you want to have, the more likely you will achieve that as well. Making money in your early years is actually much harder than most people expect. Not necessarily only because you don't have the skill, but also because you're so young. Right? You just start out in the work field, and so you're a greenhorn, right? It's like you just started out with school. You just entered primary school. You won't be able to solve any differential equations. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that when you're in your early 20s, simply biologically, you can't have much experience. When you're young, you don't know shit. Like, think about this, right? Let's say you were to get investment advice. Would you get investment advice from somebody that's 40 or 50 that has already made several million dollars? Or are you going to take investment advice from somebody that's only 16, 17, 18 years old and that's maybe investing some pocket money and maybe some money that they made on the side? Probably the former, not the latter. And so age discrimination is a real thing. You can be the best programmer in the world. You can be the most skilled person in the world. If you are just in your early 20s, likelihood is high that if you enter a big corporate office, that you're not going to get the same compensation that a 40-year-old will get. Even if the 40-year-old is not as skilled. It's just a matter of perception. It's just a matter of marketing. Your outlook, your age already conveys some kind of marketing independent of your knowledge. And that's true for any profession. You're probably more comfortable getting your critical heart surgery from a 45 or 50-year-old, not from a 25-year-old. You're probably also going to pay the 35-year-old gardener more than the 20-year-old gardener, because the 35-year-old gardener probably has made more gardens before. And so my solution to the problem was to find income sources where I don't necessarily have to reveal my age, right? I try to look for technical income sources. So you can still become a YouTuber, you can still have a very popular YouTube channel without ever showing your face. And that might actually make sense if you're still very young. If we talk about something that's associated with older people that need some kind of proof of credibility. You can prove credibility from your work, but not necessarily from your appearance. I've talked about this before on this channel. I don't talk about it very often, but I made my first significant money with online poker. So I played online poker 70, 80 hours every week for 3 years straight. Many tables at the same time. So I would multi-table, have many tables open at the same time. And I was simply more skilled than the average online poker player. I was better at the statistics and I made my first money that way. So I looked for an inefficient market and then I just competed with them, and my outlook, my appearance wasn't relevant at all, but it was all just about numbers. There aren't that many possibilities for young people to make significant money, again, because of age discrimination. But the opportunities tend to lie in the new things. They tend to lie in the things where older people can't yet have that much experience. They tend to lie in the things where you don't have to reveal your age. Now, maybe wealth accumulation is not your primary goal, and that's totally fine. But what's not fine is to not have any picture at all of how you want to be. You need to get some kind of goal. You need to get some kind of a picture. How do I want to be? What kind of things do I want to do in 10 or 20 or 30 years? What kind of life do I want to live? Do I want to travel around? Do I want to stay in one place? Do I want to talk to many people? Do I want to be in front of a machine? Do I want to make a lot of experiments, scientific experiments? Or do I want to have predictability in my life? What kind of person am I? And where are my strengths? What did I enjoy in my early years? And where can I potentially leverage those kind of things in the future? Who lives a life that I want to live as well? And what's realistic to achieve? And will I still be okay achieving just half of that and still be happy? So it's about finding your ideal avatar. How do I want to be? You don't have anymore the luxury to have anybody else decide what to do. You don't have your parents to tell you what to do. You don't have your school to tell you what to do. Your friends also don't really know who you are at a deep level. You have to make that decision for yourself. And you need to get passionate enough about this to actually push forward, to actually have a direction, to actually improve your life and move it in a direction that you desire. That's the main thing. That's where many people fail. Many people take too much advice from others. They don't really try to follow a certain goal and a certain direction and a certain life that they actually want to live. There's a very good book on the topic. It's called Choose Yourself by James Altucher. Feel free to read that book. That has also helped me a lot. And if you want to watch more videos like this, there's also a playlist of those mindset and strategy videos here on this channel. Just click here on the channel and go to playlist, and you can simply binge watch if you want to those kind of direct one-on-one talks. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on YouTube. Cheers.